Marshall Rosenburg, the founder of NVC, said that when he gets couples to the point where they can both hear each other's needs, the solutions just kind of fall out of the air. He said from that point where he can get both sides to hear the needs of the other person, he can resolve it in 20 minutes, or they will resolve it for themselves within 20 minutes. He used to do workshops with couples that had been married couples, you know, and he said he would take the longest standing argument in the room. And so one couple had been fighting about money for 39 years. And he said, so he brought them up on stage and did the thing and got them to, it took a long time to get them to be able to hear each other deeply and to hear the other person's needs. But once they did, the actual solution they came up with was super simple. It was like, how about I have a trial period without you watching me like a hawk and telling me what I can and can't do. I'll have a trial period. If I don't bounce the checkbook in the 2 weeks that I have the trial period, then you trust me. And he's like, okay, but only if I can actually like make sure that I check in on you. And she's like, yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it was like a really simple solution, but it wasn't available to them before they had deeply listened to each other.
Okay. So it's about hearing, it's about a deeper level of listening and wanting to understand where the other person is coming from or what their need is.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And in my experience, you can't, or I can't, access that curiosity and care for the other person if I'm hurting too much. So I have to learn, or NVC suggests learning self-care techniques, self-empathy, self-acceptance, self-appreciation. So all of these things first, that you have to be able to hold yourself, like what Issa did for us. You have to be able to hold your needs as precious and know that you're not going to give up on them. Mm-hmm. And once you know that, then you have all sorts of space to listen to anybody else, because it doesn't mean that you're going to lose. There's no winning and losing in NVC. There's only sustainable solutions that work for everybody, because it's not about the power over dynamic, it's a power with. So it's not going to be sustainable if you drop yourself. If you give up on what's important to you, that's violence to yourself. So it's deeply listening to yourself and then deeply listening to the other. And then when they feel that depth of empathy coming toward them, they're much more likely to relax and stop fighting because they feel safe. And then when both people feel safe, your brain can activate and start thinking up solutions because you're not in fight and flight mode anymore.
So you're finding empathy for yourself, within yourself first. Mm-hmm. Meaning what? Listening to yourself, checking in with yourself.
Absolutely. Just
finding out what your needs are.
Yeah. So one of the big concepts in NVC is that our emotional system is there to get our attention, our precious attention. When we're going about our busy life, our emotions come up and like, hey, hello, over here, something's here, you know, and that's to get our attention. They're like, what is that? Oh, so to take a moment, bring it to center stage, be with this, and it would be whatever's precious to you. What is it that's motivating you to do the things that you do? And NVC calls those needs. And their needs are simply, they're universal human needs. Every human being has these needs of love, connection, appreciation, physical well-being, exercise, food, water, shelter, care, community, curiosity, self-expression, safety. There are many, many needs, and they're so beautiful, all of them.
So do you think that it's hard for people to have their needs met by someone else if they haven't first, you know, checked in with themselves and somehow maybe got clear about what their own needs are first? Do you feel like there's a first, like within NVC, is it first checking in with yourself before reaching out to go to someone else to try to have those needs met, which I think is quite common with people wanting to first, you know, go to someone else to feel validated for those needs, right?
Right, right. You don't, I mean, there's no right way to do it. There's no right, wrong thinking in NVC. It's not that NVC doesn't believe that right and wrong exists as concepts. It's just that they're not useful for connection. So whatever way you want to do it is fine. That being said, if your partner is not an NVC practitioner and you go to them and you're like, they may have a lower possibility of meeting your needs unless you happen to be married or dating like a monk, or, you know, that's not very likely. Anyway, if you're dating somebody who's extremely centered, then that's fine to come at them with all the stuff. But if you're not dating somebody like that, maybe it would be good, or working with, I mean, NVC works in professional relationships and personal relationships. So working with your own inner world so that you feel like you're holding yourself, like you're safe here, then allows you to present much differently. When you go into the conversation, you're not like this, you're more like this, like, okay, I know what's going on here, and I know what's important to me, and I know what I'm not going to give up ever because it's beautiful. But the difference between a need and a strategy is really important. So my need for connection doesn't mean that you as my partner have to stay home with me every single night, 365 days a year. That's a strategy, right? I can meet my need for connection with myself, journaling, when you go out once a week with your friends, or whatever the strategy is. It allows for a lot more creativity with strategies because you know what the essence is, what the core is. And then you can just be all sorts of creative with how you meet those needs. And that usually, NVC says that all conflict happens on the level of strategy. Needs never conflict, never.
When you say that on a level of strategy, what does that mean exactly?
So I have a need for, I mean, if we go with that example, I have a need for connection and intimacy, and I would love to stay home 7 nights a week and cuddle on the couch, right? And the other person says, okay, I have a need for fun and adventure, and I would like to go out 5 nights a week. So there's a big conflict there because 7 and 5, right? I mean, that's a big conflict. The needs of fun and adventure are not in a fight with the needs for connection and intimacy. Because if both people said, hey, what if we went on a camping trip together, right? Then we could meet the needs for adventure, fun, connection, and intimacy all at the same time. So the connection, the strategy would be the camping trip, and that would meet all the needs on the table. And the strategies that were first proposed are completely at odds with each other. I want to stay home and watch TV with you on the couch 7 nights a week, and I want to go out 5 nights a week. Those two things don't work together at the same time.
Okay.
So that's a conflict of strategy. But if you can get down below the level of strategy and figure out what the core is, what the essence is, what's truly the pearl there, then you can be more creative about the strategies because you know what you're really trying to meet. And then whatever strategy you come up with can meet more of the needs on the table.
I see. Okay.
It's not always possible to meet all the needs on the table, but it's hugely helpful to know what the needs are.
Yeah, that's huge.